sitting next to greatness.
They make zero proof because of me now. No alcohol.
Do they really?
Yeah, you should try it.
Bring it.
Shot going after the race.
Okay. All right, good morning, everybody. I'm Paul Swangard, going to be your moderator for today's media availability, and thanks for all of you for trudging through the cold to get here. We also have some folks watching online as well. So format is pretty straightforward. We have a more than a quadre. It's a, what would be the six times? Just a lot of people here to talk about their upcoming performance at Ocean Breeze for the 2025 USA Indoor Championships, brought to you by Prevagen. And a reminder again, this is also a selection event for finally having this event in Nanjing, which was originally going to be scheduled in 2020. That never happened, so the World Indoor Championships finally happening in China in mid-March. We'll do brief introductions. I'll do a couple of easy softball questions to start, and then we'll most importantly allow you folks to have questions from the audience as well. No one-on-one opportunities at the conclusion of this, so if you have a question you want to ask the athletes, make sure you do it here in this forum. A reminder, there will be some athlete availability at the track later on today. What time is that, Natalie? 1 to 4 for the athlete availability on the track at Ocean Breeze. All right, I will just make it easy. I'll go to Mr. Norwood at the end here. Vernon Norwood, longtime member of Team USA. 8 teams I think you've been on globally. Is that?
Lost count.
You lost count. Well, that says it all. Vernon, a mainstay of our relay squads, and brought some hardware home from Paris. Next to him, a breakthrough for American triple jumping last year for Jasmine Moore, first ever American woman to qualify for both the long jump and the triple jump at the Olympic Games, and brought home bronze in both of those, and that was just a treat to follow her through that amazing performance at the purple track at Stade de France. Also a medalist from last year in the pole vault silver after gold in Tokyo is Katie Moon from the, where do you now live, Katie? Tulsa, yeah. It's not witness relocation, but we'll get into why she's making some moves here as well. Alexis Holmes is here, fresh off a big win at Millrose, and of course coming in as the meet record holder in the 400 meters. And my friend Sonia Richards-Ross just glowing, saying that Alexis is the future of American quarter mile distance, and I think that's a pretty good stamp of approval, if you ask me. What do you do?
I don't know at this point.
Yeah, neither do I. Hold up your fist like this for a second. All right, 3-time world champion. So 3.
Oh, 3.
All right.
I thought you wanted
How many world indoor titles do you have?
2.
All right, so it's getting hard. Now just wave at the crowd. All right.
That's pretty smooth. That's pretty
Yeah,
smooth.
we'll get into the Olympics and all the other stuff you've done, but Grant Holloway once again here as his legendary undefeated streak indoors continues. And Josh Hoey, who I mentioned him, the only thing I don't like about Josh is he was originally going to be an Oregon Duck, and of course I've been the in-stadium announcer at Hayward for a lot of years, so I was kind of angry that he didn't allow me to call some of his early races, but look forward to having him in Eugene later on this year when we have the selection event for the World Championships, but now the American record holder at 800 and 1,000 meters. It's been a fairly, would you call it a decent indoor season to date? So far. All right. Well, there's a lot more to come. All right. Well, let's go back. Vernon, let's just talk about being in New York. You know, the indoor season is kind of short and sweet, but this is obviously an important year because of the indoor championships, as well as the outdoor season. How have you kind of approached 2025, and how does the indoor season kind of fit into your overall plan?
Each year I take the same approach. Nothing really changes with my routine and what I do day to day. I know it's a late year with World's been in September, so that's the goal. But I'm just here to break up training. I think everything got pushed back, so I usually do a 400-meter indoors. It's just that my training block fell on this weekend, so it's a tremendous honor to come here and get a race in at USA's, because I don't like to take these kind of competitions for granted, so I like to show up and compete. I'm a true competitor. I always like to be in the mix of racing against the best people. And but I'm excited. I feel good. And just looking at the year, I just taking the same day, just trying to be consistent, work hard, and just be there when it's time to be there.
And what does it feel like to be a challenger? What does that mean to you?
Uh,
And explain maybe for folks who don't know what that means.
Being a challenger for me is like someone that's always going to show up and compete at the best, against the best, and make no excuses and just get it done. You know, win, lose, or draw, you know, you go out there, you give out your best effort, and I think that's what I do on a day-to-day basis, and I think that's kind of why I've been in this sport for a very long time at a very high level. So, you know, that's one of the things that keep me going, just being motivated. I like to race against fast people. You know, they motivate me. I like seeing the younger athletes coming up and they develop into the sport, because I always say the younger athletes develop in the right way. That's the future for our sport. So I like to be around for that. I like to compete against that, and that makes me feel good.
And I was trying to tee you up for a Grand Slam track, but you
Oh.
didn't even walk through that door, man.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it was a little trolling going on with that, but we was already set in stone. But, yeah, the Grand Slam track, I'm excited for that. I'm excited to be a challenger for that because, you know, Michael Johnson and Kyle, they did a great job signing the very fast people who ran fast last year, so they got to show they could be fast this year. So, you know, I'm excited about that. I'm going to go out there and just try to, you know, come out with a big prize, I hope.
I think you were so on brand being a challenger, because I think you're going to enjoy kind of knocking off those.
Yeah, I mean, they picked some good locations. I'm happy to be a part of it. But we'll see how it goes. Huh?
You said you happen to be a part of it. How many races? How many
I'm happy to be a part of being a challenger for. I mean, it's Jamaica. Who don't want to go to Jamaica though? But
Don't tip his hand.
I mean, Grant had the same opportunity I have. He could have been a part of it. I mean, who knows? He might be a challenger one day. I don't know if he falls in his. And Grant got a busy schedule. He's the man. You say the 3-time world champ, Olympic champ. He's everything. So. But for a guy like me, I like to compete. You know, I don't know about Grant though. So
I won't even get into the nuances there. Jasmine, grab the microphone and welcome to New York once again. You know, just reflecting on how have you used last year's success to kind of fuel this year? It's a long road to LA. With Tori and Katura now both out of the sport, you're kind of holding the chalice here as American triple jumping kind of gets inspired and gets a new generation of athletes competing with you. So what's your goals for this year?
Yes, I definitely feel the effects of Katura and Tori not being here, especially this weekend. It's a small field in the triple jump, but I've used last year to just really give me the confidence. I think I was really anxious last year. It'd be my first year pro and not really knowing what to expect. But now I have a lot of confidence and just really staying focused and using each meet as an opportunity to really compete and focus on like each round, which is one of the main things is like bouncing back. And so I think what I learned from last year is I would put one out there and then not really be able to respond. So that's definitely one of the main things I'm working on this year going into Tokyo.
I think we'd be remiss if we didn't, recognize both of those folks leaving the sport. What did those two mean to you in terms of kind of driving your early career performances?
Yeah, definitely all of the marks. American women's triple jump is kind of behind, and so they really put one out there for me to catch when it comes to American records, national titles. They were always two girls that I was kind of, they were 1-2, and I was always that third place. So I definitely respect them a lot. Katura, she was one of the reasons why I went to Georgia. The collegiate records, so many NCAA titles, Bowerman winners. So two great girls that definitely we feel the effects this meet.
And are you ready to be that to a next generation of jumpers?
Yes, of course, coming off Paris with 2 medals and being the first woman to do so, I think that really gives me a lot of confidence, and I just hope to see this event grow for, the United States.
All right, well, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right. Mrs. Moon?
Hello.
Tulsa, right?
Tulsa.
Let's talk about that. Our last exchange before Milrose was really a genuine effort to bring balance to your life, and you and Hugo are now spending more time together and reinforcing that cool wedding you had, that the pictures are still some of the most amazing wedding photos I've ever seen, has worked out. Just kind of talk about how have you been intentional in making that part of your life now?
Yeah, my husband and I have been at a distance our entire marriage and most of our relationship. He is a rowing coach, and so there just aren't as many opportunities. He can't go absolutely everywhere to have great rowing coach opportunities, just like I have to be where my coach is. So I was in Atlanta, and for the first part of that, he was in Gainesville, Florida, and then he just, in 2022, got the assistant rowing coach position at University of Tulsa. When you get an NCAA job, you don't turn that down. So yeah, we are finally in the same place. I said after this Olympic cycle, I was not going to sacrifice being away from my family anymore and my dog, that more importantly. And so yeah, it's just, I needed to be where my coach was full time to be able to accomplish what I have and to get everything that I did from him. I don't think this would be as successful as it has been had I not had that time full time with him, but it is the best I've ever felt both on and off the track. It's more relaxed because I'm on my own, but it's very intentional because I'm on my own. I'm very mentally present at training, and I'm just enjoying going to the track, coming home to my husband, and so yeah, it's just been a really, really good transition.
And it appears that, like you said, it's transitioned to what you've been doing in your event.
I think
world
so,
lead
yeah.
up until, again, another youngster, jumping 16 feet the other day.
My gosh, yeah, that was amazing. You never know who's going to be that next 16-footer, and it was cool because I saw a lot of similarities to when I jumped 16 feet the first time. It was in Albuquerque. It was 3 personal bests, and obviously I don't want to take anything away from what she did. Was unbelievable to do it at 20 years old. That's insane, in the best way possible. And so, but it is really cool watching in real time someone come into stride. So yeah, I have nothing but the best things to say about her. I'm so excited for the state of American pole vaulting and where it's going to go, and even when I'm all done. So yeah, it was awesome.
Any interest in triple jumping?
No.
Oh, not at all.
My Achilles doesn't even like pole vault, so there's no way.
All right, I tried, Jasmine. All right. Alexis, we'll keep the mic going down. This event, part of just a long season. We keep saying it's a long season, but as an athlete trying to plan out a season, how complicated has it been just to kind of figure out the method to your madness of what you want to try to achieve this year?
Yeah, it definitely can be a little bit complicated, but I'm somebody, if I'm feeling good and training is going well, I'm always excited and ready to race, so I kind of just embrace it. I had a long season last year, but surprisingly, I felt pretty good, like physically and mentally at the end of the year, so I'm looking forward to another long year again, hopefully more success.
We hope so too. And just the indoor versus outdoor, we all felt it certainly last week at Millrose, and we'll see it at Ocean Breeze. We'll have a very loud and appreciative crowd. It's just it's a different dynamic to be in that sort of more closed environment. Do you like indoor for that?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's one of the things I love most about the Millrose Games. It was my first time competing there, but not my first time at the Army, but it's always just such like an intimate crowd, and so the energy in there is always great, so I'm looking forward to that this weekend.
Yeah. And just in terms of training, and what has the experience of last year given you, both just in what you're trying to work on to get better, but also just kind of mentally feeling like you're now among those elite athletes that you need to think you are each day you race?
Yeah, so at this point, I feel like I've gotten a lot of experience competing at the highest level on the biggest stages, so it's definitely given me that confidence to go into those races, being my best self, and so yeah, I'm looking forward to more opportunities this year.
And Sonia's waiting for that record to be broken outdoors.
I know. It's coming, We're working on it.
Think it's going to happen this year?
That's the goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll tell her you mentioned it. She's celebrating a big birthday this week and not here in New York.
Period. Happy birthday, girl.
It's a party that's it's going to be quite a show. But anyway, we'll have her back here shortly. So all right, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Dr. Holloway.
I don't have that much knowledge, but for you to put that on me, I volunteer as tribute to take it.
Well, what's the secret to winning for a decade?
A lot of hard work, surrounding yourself with a team that continues to challenge you, and a little bit of luck on your side on the day. I put my foot forward just like everybody else. I train, I put in the hours, and my main goal is just to get to the finish line before everybody else. And I always tell people, you got to have a little bit of luck, just a little bit on your side when you roll out of bed that morning. And I think I keep rolling out of bed the exact same way for some time now.
Can you think of a race where you've been the luckiest in this streak? That maybe you got away with one?
Yeah, actually 2023 in Leovan, France, Daniel Roberts actually had a solid shot. He got out of the blocks. I don't think I was fit, like physically fit yet for that race, and he got out, but in true Daniel fashion, he hit a couple hurdles. So that kind of cost him, but I think that was a little bit of luck on my side that day. But, I mean, then again, like I said, Daniel's always been one of the ones to challenge me on and off the track. I mean, without his 13 flat, there would have been 1298. Without his 742, there wouldn't have been 735. So, my hat goes off to him. But just with all the competitors, the sport is evolving, not just in the hurdles, but all around with track and field. And, you just got to have to sit back and enjoy it all, because as soon as you're out the sport, you're going to be like, well, I didn't know track and field was evolving that fast, and vice versa. So I think we have a good field, not only within the hurdles, but I think this is going to be a great indoor championships for Team USA. And we are going to assemble the Avengers to get ready to send them all off to Beijing, China.
You set a world record in this event last year.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I forgot about it.
Thanks for fact checking me. So why is it important for you to compete? I mean, you've now won as many fingers as I could probably have you hold up.
Yeah.
Why is it still important to be here?
Yeah, it's a world championship. Not to throw a shade or a shot at Vernon, but for me.
But
yeah, but for me, everything is built based off of world championship titles, and how long your resume is going to be once you leave the sport. And to answer Vernon's question, track and field isn't about the money for me. My job within the sport is to continue to motivate, educate, inspire, whatever word you want to use, that next generation. And I want to be seen in textbooks, or, if you go to Wikipedia or worldathletics.com, I want to be that one guy that's like, okay, I want to try to, that's the icon I want to be. So for me, it's a world championship year. Yes, it sucks that it's in China. I don't think nobody really wants to take that 18-hour flight over there, but you see the schedule, you say, all right, this is the track meet that I got to be ready for. So really, in all, it's 4 track meets you got to be ready for. Indoor World Championship trials, indoor world champs, outdoor world champs, and then outdoor world championship trials, and then outdoor world champs. So this is a big meet for me. I got to actually got to try out for the team this year. So this is going to be a fun show, especially with the hurdles. Anything can happen. So put my best foot forward, continue just to, be me and have a little bit of fun while I'm out there.
All right. Well, best of luck.
All the best.
All right.
I mean, from all the time, but then at the same time, bro, like, that's your job. You're supposed to show up. And there ain't no pulling out. I appreciate that, Aunt.
A lot of love on the room here.
It's not even Valentine's Day, though.
Yeah, it's not. I am right there with you. We're just trying to. I know. We're trying to. On that note, do you have a take on this, Josh? See, this is what happens when you start running well. You have to now get yourself in the mix of all this. What's your take? You're racing a lot.
Exactly. I've kind of been racing a lot over the past couple years, and this has kind of just been a different year for us with our build-up, and we saw a lot of success from it, and so I'm just excited to keep the momentum rolling and keep showing up to compete.
I love that use of the word us, and I think Grant kind of hinted that with his team behind the team. Just talk about who have you surrounded yourself during this point in your career, and why is that team making you perform at the level you're at now?
Yeah, my family has always been my biggest supporters, my mom and dad, and I train with my 2 brothers primarily. I'm coached remotely from Justin Rinaldi in Melbourne, Australia, so we kind of have to band together and make some audibles at times and kind of just rely on each other, but yeah, it's been a good formula.
Yeah. And as you come now into this opportunity to try to make your first global team, got to have a lot of confidence, but as I looked at that start list you're going to face, you're going to get a lot thrown at you, and there's not as many spots. It's not, 3 going to Nanjing. So just kind of how do you size up this opportunity, and what would it mean for you to make the team?
Yeah, I missed both teams last year by 1 place, and so this is kind of hopefully a little bit of what feels like redemption, but I'm definitely, like Vernon pointed out earlier, not taking anything for granted. So I'm excited just for another opportunity to kind of put it all out there.
Well, and I can think back even last year's World Indoor Championships. We saw folks who either made their first global team, made their first global podium, just to be able to go through things like team processing and be part of Team USA. I mean, that's kind of part of the maturation process for you, right, is to feel like you've been part of a team and know that there's more teams to make.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is a journey, and so each step is exciting and precious. So. Yeah.
All right, I have exhausted my questions from the dais. We have a roving mic with Natalie, and if we've got hands up. Larry, you actually have a question for a news conference? This is unprecedented.
Well, thank you. I'm really touched.
Right here.
All right, Josh. So you've done the mile, you've done the 800, you've done the 1,000, you've done the 1,500. What's your favorite event?
I'm sticking with the 800 for now, but I'm excited about the 1,500. So I'd say hopefully by outdoors I like them both equally.
Sorry, just one question for Josh because Paul brought it up. Can you just explain a little bit, what is it like to be coached by someone who's on the other side of the world in a completely different time zone? I mean, how does that actually work?
Yeah, so we started working together at the end of 2023, and we kind of met in person for the first time in the spring, and I was picking him up from the airport, and I realized I've actually never seen what he looks like. And so I was like, sort of waiting and just thinking I'd see him when he came out. But yeah, it's been interesting. I mean, we talk on the phone a lot, especially when it comes to training. I'd say my experience with the many different coaches I've had over the last couple of years and the many different systems has kind of enabled me to know what works for me. And so we were able to collaborate in that respect about using like what he knows and then what I know. And so that I think is really important, especially for remote coaching, because like when the coach is there in person, they can kind of make different cues or changes on the spot. But as an athlete in remote coaching, it's kind of the onus is on you to do that for yourself. So, yeah.
This is from Marcos Papadatos. Question for Katie Moon. What did the Summer Olympics in Paris and the 2025 indoor season thus far teach you about yourself?
I guess it just taught me that, and this is a culmination of, I guess, all the seasons, is just that when it comes down to a championship, I'm resilient and I'm able to show up on the day, and that is something that I'm so grateful for. I've dealt with, last year I dealt with a bad tendinosis in my Achilles for most of the year, and then didn't have a great season. I don't think I won a single Diamond League. I wasn't having a great year, but I think it just taught me, as long as, I will say 2022 even more than 2024, when I was going through the post-Olympic blues and really did terribly all year, and then came back at World Championships, just really instilled this confidence that on the day anything can happen as long as you put in the work and as long as you still show up on the day. As long as you have the fitness behind you, you're still the same athlete that you were. And yeah, this was just a continuation of that. So I guess just my resiliency and my ability to show up on the day.
Question for Grant. The winning streak. Everyone else makes a big deal about it. How much do you think about it? Is that on your mind at all?
I think no. To answer the gist of the question is not. I just think over the years of me competing, it's just something that catches the press's attention. And every time you guys talk about it, I walk out of here knocking on wood, just saying like, damn, like, you guys know the rules. Someone's throwing a no-hitter, and you say, oh, they're throwing a no-hitter, and next thing you know, it's a grand slam right over the fence. So if anybody watching or hearing this, if you can be quiet and, spare me a little bit. But no, to answer your question, like, I just think for me is, I got to put my best foot forward every time I step on the track. I think Paul made a great analogy in Boston, every time he steps foot on the line, he's, putting the streak, on the line. So I just think it just shows some of that resilience that Vernon was talking about, some of that character that I am, regardless of who's in the race or regardless of the competition, I'm always there to, put my best foot forward and try to compete. And then at some point, good things must come to an end. Obviously, it's not going to be this weekend, but just going towards it, it's just one of the things where, if it happens, it happens. And when it does, it's like you got to tip your cap off to that competitor, whoever did it, and, we bounce back from it and get ready for the next race.
This is from Zach Kennedy. For Grant, usually taller athletes have a tougher time starting compared to shorter athletes, yet he is seemingly always the first to the hurdles. What do you attribute that to?
So when I first started off on the scene, it was this guy who ran 9.7 at the 2019 World Championships named Christian Coleman. That's pretty much where all my film, technique, mantra, swagger, kind of all comes from him. I think Christian is the best starter, that this planet or world has ever seen. And, why not learn from the best? So obviously I'm a little bit taller, like you said, and that has its own limitations and everything, but, with everything that goes on, you got to be able to add, your own little swagger to it and everything. So obviously mine's is a little bit slower than Christian in a sense, but, that's where I watch my film, and, it doesn't matter if you're tall or short or, I guess, weak at the blocks. You got to be able to add your own recipe to it. And I think I just was one of the ones that perfected it. And now, I'm getting out the blocks and I'm being efficient. And, it's working for my race pattern. So it's just one of the things where you just, you got to work at it. And obviously, as you work, it gets better.
This is for Alexis and Vernon. Obviously, on the world stage, you guys are relay king and queen. You've done amazing things in the 4x4. How does your approach to the relay differ from your approach to your individual events?
Well, okay, I think for me, when I go into a relay, it's different because you're not only representing yourself, though you're representing the group of ladies that you're going out there with, and I think it's kind of cool to have one common goal. And I know that we're known for dominating the relay, so I think there's also a little bit of added pressure with that, but we always kind of embrace it and just show up and do what we do best.
For me, it's same approach, try to be dominant, but I think the overall, like she said, in the open 4, you represent yourself, and for the relay, you running with a team, so everyone has a job to do. So, the motto has always been dominate your legs so we can win. And that's kind of like the difference approach. But the same mindset is just to dominate.
Yeah.
This question is for Katie. Just tell us a little bit about what it's like to be an Olympic gold medalist living in a city like Tulsa. Do people bump into you in the supermarket and say, oh, Katie, I know who you are? Or are you just like anybody else that lives there? I mean, just tell us what that experience is like.
I would say most of the time I go pretty unnoticed. I definitely get recognized the most in Cleveland if I get recognized anywhere, but my coolest interaction was I was in a Sephora and I had just come off getting a massage, so I was wearing big oversized sweat. I wasn't wearing anything assuming, no USA gear. And I saw this little girl, she must have been about maybe 8 years old, maybe 10. And she just kept looking at me. And I was like, okay, either I look really bad coming off this massage table or she might recognize me. And her mom actually came up to me later and was like, are you Katie Moon? And her daughter had recognized me. And so to get recognized by a little girl who probably isn't on social media. Like that was the coolest experience, because again, I wasn't wearing anything that was glaringly obviously USA or pole vaulting or anything, so that was really awesome. But as a whole, I would say fly under the radar for the most part.
Katie, another question. You've been competing in Europe this season. What was your favorite meet?
Well, I only competed once in Europe this indoor season, so I think that would have to be my favorite and also my least favorite by default. But it's Liévin, so it was a great competition. They always do such a good job. The crowd is amazing. Gosh, the energy in there when Jakob was running was actually insane. It was so loud. But it's really fun. It is tough going over to Europe, especially for one-off competitions, especially at my big age of 33. So I take every competition going overseas very seriously, and that was one that it's always hard to say no to because they do such a good job.
Hi, this is for Jasmine. When Katura made her retirement announcement, one of the things she cited was the injury and some of the challenge of this event in particular. Have you talked to her about sort of how to keep your body buffered from some of that, or what are some of the things you do to sort of counteract the pounding and the challenges of triple jump?
Yeah, I read her post, and I definitely need to reach out. With everything she said and why she retired, but I think it's kind of hard sometimes to do both, just making sure I'm getting that treatment in between each event, having to wake up the next day, good thing, like my body's still young, and I'm used to it from college, just doing back-to-back, but lots of treatment, rest, recovery, acupuncture, Carlos is here, and just having like a good support team, and my coaching, Coach Nick knows what I need, and making sure that we're on the same page.
Hi, my question's for Alexis. Hey, obviously it's a long season, Grand Slam, Diamond League, World Outdoors in September. Yeah. If you make the team for World Indoor, how would you say it grooms you for such a long year?
Well, excuse me. For me, I feel like indoor, it's a lot of fun because it kind of like sets you up for outdoor. So I'm really just going into it feeling optimistic. Of course, I want to go for the gold at indoor this year. But yeah, I just kind of use it to inspire me to keep, oh my God, what am I trying to say? I'm sorry, y'all. I'm not a morning person. But essentially, thank you. But yeah, essentially, I just try to use indoor to help me prepare for outdoor. So yeah.
I just have one more question for Josh. Could you just tell me about the dynamic of training with two brothers? I mean, how does that work? Who starts the workout? Who does what? How do you decide what to do?
So our dynamic training together has evolved probably over the last 12 years. And so, a lot of the workouts now, we almost have a huddle where we talk about who kind of takes reps and kind of how the workout can go well for everyone. And so it's something that has taken some trial and error, but I think it's something that we've nearly perfected. So I take a lot of pride in that.
Does somebody always go first, or?
Yeah, so I'd say on the earlier side, sometimes that gets kicked to Jonah, the youngest. And so, but he also gets kind of recruited for some of the final reps as well because of how strong and fast he is. And my older brother kind of helps grind through the middle of the workout because he's he's the oldest and most experienced. And then I try and take all the hardest reps to to try and prove myself, I guess. But yeah.
This is another question from Marcos Papadatos. The question is for Jasmine. What is your advice for young and emerging jumpers that want to do long jump and/or triple jump?
Number one is speed. So continue your running workouts. I think in high school, people go over to the pit to get out of the running, but that's kind of the main part about jumping is the runway is like the most important part. So sticking with that. And then just to keep pushing yourself, you know, sometimes if you think that, or people will just pick one to, you know, give that one the best shot, but I think they go hand in hand, and I couldn't imagine being as successful as I am in one without the other. And so just really pushing myself and, yeah, just sticking with it. I really hope to see, you know, more athletes continue both of the jumps throughout college and hopefully professional as well.
Looks like we have time for one more.
Come on, Larry.
We've come full circle.
All right, Grant. You and Ray Benjamin and Noah are doing a podcast.
Ray gonna kill you if you call him that.
Okay, Ry Benjamin, excuse me. I haven't had my coffee as much yet either. I apologize, Ry. You guys are doing a podcast, and it's really, you're getting some great folks on there. How much are you enjoying that?
I am enjoying. Now, I'm enjoying it, but it's not what I thought it would be from my perspective. What do you mean by that? I kind of, when we first established it, it was more supposed to be like barbershop talk. You know, we all just get in there, talk a little shit, and then from there, you know, we dilly, you know, do whatever we got to do. To get the host, the management, the guest. We had Uncle Vern up there for a little bit. It was really, really fun. That's the part where I kind of got to get used to. You know, this is my first time ever really hosting a podcast. I guess being a part of, I guess, a team or like some type of side job or whatever. And it's a lot of work. You know, it takes a little bit of more than what I thought it would happen. So I'm enjoying it, but it's just it's a learning curve for me. You know, to get the guest on, to really stay consistent on putting out content, I think is the tough part for me. You know, you got to be able to be present for the interviews. You got to be able to show up at different places and things like that. So it's a learning curve for me. I enjoy it a lot. You know, I get fulfillment out of it. You know, my favorite interview was definitely with Gout, just to see, you know, his progression of, you know, becoming and emerging as one of the top sprinters. But it's just one of the things, man, I just have to, you know, make sure I have good time management and not stretch myself too thin.
All right, now we're going to do a photo opportunity. Do you want them to stay on the stage or come down below? Stay? On the stage, all right. Why don't you guys, let me take the microphones.